think that's just because I am a platinum member of the Lazy Bastards Club more than anything to do with COVID, to be honest. But right, progress. Nibbler, none. There's a shock. I've had a few other bits to do. I've got to get under him, scrape the sump gasket off the engine block, fit the new gasket with its silicone, put it on, and then obviously refit the oil lines. I've got to wire brush the ZZR 1100 oil lines and just give them a lick of paint just to make them look a bit better. It's only very mild surface rust, but it annoys me so. It's funny that I'm not really bothered about the cosmetics of anything, but if I take something off and it's rusty, usually I'll clean it up before I put it back on again. Usually, not always. So I've got that to do. Went back out to the Mercedes Slinky, the SLK, this morning. Turned the ignition on. Car completely dead again. Not even showing any dash lights. None of the digital display come on or anything like that. But I put the booster pack on it and everything lit up, so it's definitely the battery. So I'm probably going to leave it till next week to get a battery, because I've had to pay a few bills this week, as we all do. You know, me not being Ronald Finger or anything like that, with 300 Patreon supporters, which means he doesn't have to work, and there's quite a lot of YouTubers like that, and through their own efforts, hard work and bloody good content, they don't need to work, they just do YouTube full time, which would be really nice, but God, might it be boring. It's me having a shite. It's me having my breakfast. It's bacon again. It's me abusing some random stranger over an incorrect fact on the Facebook forum. I'm not really like that, so. Anyway, Saturday. This coming Saturday, which is the whatever, hang on, whatever the date is, on Saturday, there is a meet at Kyneton, down the old foss there. If you're of a military bearing, Kyneton, it's obviously where there is an MOD depot. A very nice one it is too, or it used to be. There is a meet there. If any of you watch the channel I Drive a Classic, they have arranged it, and several of us on the sort of rover community, etc., have said we're going. It's only about, I mean, I literally live on the Foss, or a road that used to be the Foss, but obviously all roads have been you know, renamed, regraded and all this lot, but the road that actually goes past my village is part of the old Foss Way, because there is a bit of parkland now. I can remember when it was actually made into parkland. I think it used to be a little quarry or something like that. Part of the actual original old Foss Way goes past it. Now, the modern Foss Way snakes and weaves. The original didn't really do that. It was pretty much a bolt straight line. But there is part of the original Foss by the side of this park. And if you look hard enough in places, you can see the original cobble topping. Well, I call it cobble. Some of it's not cobble, they're like flagstones. Now, whether they were put in Roman times, I don't know. I'll plan to go up there again sometimes. I'll take my mad uncle with me, because he's coming with me on Saturday. You've seen him in a few videos. He's going to be my responsible adult escort. Oh, we're all so fucked. But years ago, we cycled it. We had a cycle ride down Elfos and all this lot. And part of it you can actually get to, and it's not the easiest walk because it's all overgrown and all this lot, but part of it is still visible, or at least it was. And I might go and see if I can film a bit of it, because it's really interesting. It gets me how the road there is 2,000 years old, BC, something like that. I don't know. What I can't get into my head is that when people talk about Vikings and stuff like that, you really think, you know, ancient, with all the mythology that goes with it and all this lot. And it absolutely racked my head that the Vikings were here about 800 years after the Romans. You would have thought it was the other way around. The funny thing is, we basically lived in mud huts before the Romans came, and the Romans made it fashionable to live in villas and stuff like that. They had different building techniques, so then we all started living in like villas and bungalows and stuff like that, if you had the money, obviously. And then not long after the Romans fecked off, it wasn't long before we were back in mud huts again. And it wasn't until, you know, the Normans and all that lot came over, if I've read all this correctly, that we then started sort of going back into sort of a permanent structured dwelling, if you like. But anyway, enough of that. That's completely... See how I'm easily distracted? Oh, it's murder, it really is. My brain is a strange place. So yes, so we're going Kyneton on Saturday, which is down the Old Foss. Anyway, so I think Roverman Paul's going there. Mr. Boatie's going. I don't know whether Craig from Rover Revival's going. I might see a few other people I know. Because the A5, which I'm just turning onto now. Come on, Rosie. This is what gets me. People think Rover 75 diesels are slow. But I had an Audi A6 diesel with the 1.9 TDI on it, which is a very, very well regarded engine. I went to quite a lot of specialists for that car about the gearbox, and they all said it was the best gearbox and engine package they did at the time, which was the Audi A6 with the pre-DSG gearbox. Although mine shit its ECU, that's a different story. It was a lovely car to drive, but I think this goes better. I really do think that the 2 litre BMW diesel in this goes better. And the trick is with diesels, don't give them a bloody great bootful, because they don't atomise like a petrol. A petrol engine can rev high because it atomises the fuel quicker. That's basically it. And it can, if you atomise the fuel quicker and you can get it in and out quicker, you can rev higher, and it's all to do with valve train as well. But because diesels are a compression engine, don't need spark, all that lot. But the characteristics of diesel are it does not atomise as fast as petrol. It's a close thing, but they don't, which is why you don't find diesel engines that rev to 9,500 RPM. The trick with a diesel, and if you've ever driven a truck or transit van, anything like that, is give it a tickle. Give it a little tickle. I am barely on throttle now. I'm just doing a steady 60. I am barely touching the throttle. I'm doing 1800 revs, and I've left the Golf behind me. If you put your toe in, yes, they will go, but they take the time doing it. The diesel. See, modern diesels are twin turbos, and they've got all sorts of funny special shite on them that makes them more like a petrol. I mean, I can remember when, Christ, back in the late 70s and the 80s, certainly when my dad was around looking at cars, the best diesels that they said to go for were Mercedes or Peugeot Citroën, because they were. I mean, I can remember my cousin had a Mercedes 190 diesel as an engagement present because she married a millionaire. And I can remember there is a hill on the A47 out near Oakham, bloody great big hill, which I temporarily forget the name of. I'll put it down in a text. And trucks used to overtake her going up the hill because that Mercedes diesel, even though it was a reliable unit and all this lot, was just slow as chuff. It had no go at all. But if you drove that compared to even this diesel, you'd be quite surprised. But the Citroën and Peugeot diesels were always very highly rated. But my dad wouldn't go near a diesel. Bloody belongs in a truck, and he's sort of right. I'll get where he's coming from. My dad died in 2004. never did obtain any of the cars he really wanted because my mum wouldn't let him have them. He always wanted a Reliant Scimitar V6. He always wanted one of those, and he loved big Mercedes and all this lot. We had a couple of Citroen BXs, and they were lovely cars. They're so comfortable, comfort like you do not find in a modern car this side of a Bentley, and that's no exaggeration. We used to have proper seats in cars, and not these rock hard seats which are like just giant baby boosters. I know they're there for a reason. They are there for crash protection. For a firm seat is there for a crash protection now. Never used to be then. They used to think about comfort. And we had a Renault, I think it was a Renault 20, and they had like armchair seats. I learned to drive in that car, and it was fantastic. The seats in the Rover, I find all right. I do find all right, but I think the seats in the Audi were way better, and they had buffalo hide on them. Yes, which probably explains why I kept having to stop for a nibble of grass. But they were very, very comfortable. No complaints there. I don't find the Rover as comfortable as the Audi. I find the build quality on the Rover, this is going to sound weird, to be equal or better than the Audi. It just is. Obviously the interior design of the Rover I fell in love with since the very first one I seen. I absolutely loved it. I loved the S-Class Jag when it came out, but now I don't think the S-Class has aged well, but the Rover has. And what gets me is you can park a Rover 75 next to something like something that we wouldn't consider a huge car these days, something like a Qashqai or a Nissan Duke, and they tower over the Rover. It's ridiculous. The waistline of some of these cars is like the door height or the roof height of the Rover. It's ridiculous how big and fat cars have got. Now, when my dad was about, the Rover would have been considered a big car, and you never put an engine less than 2 litre, or you never touched a car anything less than a 1700 or a 2 litre certainly in a big car. And nowadays in saloons and stuff, they're putting 1500 turbos and stuff like that, because the technology, they've got so much horsepower out of little engines now, it's ridiculous. I mean, I can remember reading the bike mags in the 90s when I was on L-planes in the early 90s, and like a superbike had come out and they go, oh, they can't possibly get much more horsepower out of this, and it'd only be like 95 horses from 1000cc. The potential to go hugely, you know, the tuners that have field days, especially with GSXR 1200s or 1100s 1260 kits and stuff like that, and you always thought there's no way things can get faster, and sure enough they have. Everything with a combustion engine tends to have got faster, apart from aircraft. Aircraft now fly slower than they used to when I was a kid, and it's all to do with fuel savings. The engines, this is what I don't get. The engine on the ZX-10 and the ZStar 1100, you can, if you've got a steady throttle and like myself, you can get like a genuine 50 to the gallon out of it. They will not struggle. 200 miles to the tank, no problem. They were touring bikes, they were sports touring bikes. You were designed to fill it up, drain the tank, you know, get off, stretch your legs, do it all over again. And like, it gets me, modern 1100, 1200 bikes, bear in mind the lean burn and they're fuel injected and everything we've been told is good and brilliant and better. You'd be lucky to get 35 to the gallon out of some of them, and I don't get that. So anyway, Rosie, done nothing, literally. I've still got holiday stuff in it. I've still got bungee cords on the floor and stuff like that. I did take the roof box off, so I did that. And Slinky, like I say, needs a battery. That will get sorted. Then we'll have to have a very nice word with Hagrid, Uncle Steve, see if he can get it in for a mott, because Uncle Steve will have a quick look over it and he will take it for an MOT for me. You know, all part of the service. The only thing I want to do really is, at some point on the SLK, I think I'm going to have a new pair of wings. which you can get from Poland on eBay, but you can only get the Mark 1 wings, which have side repeaters in. Mine doesn't have side repeaters because it's a facelift, but it's like, I think it's £300 for a pair of wings, which ain't that bad. If you think about it, it's not that bad. As an initial chunkage of cash, yeah, it's a fair whack, because we are, after all, shoestring shed, and we do work on a shoestring budget. You know, until I get 1,000 Patreon supporters, that's how it's going to be. You know, I won't quite divulge that I'm a secret millionaire and I don't know where the money is just yet. You know, you might get worried if you suddenly see an F40 on a video. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. So yes, so I'm nearly at work now. So that's your midweek catch up. Boring as usual, but it keeps you in the picture. My next job's, it's getting cold in the mornings now, and I'm a big fanny. I don't like the cold. Never used to feel it. Never used to feel it. But ever since literally I've turned older than 45, yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it? Because I'm so young and beautiful. Christ, a cat farts up the street, I can feel it. And I used to take the piss out of the oldies for this. It's like, oh, it's cold. It fucking isn't. It's t-shirt weather. Yeah, I'm that person now. Literally, if the window's open on an house 3 doors away, I can feel it. So it's just how it is. So I don't know. It's a bit cold in the garages in the morning, and I'm soft. I do like my creature comforts. I don't mind getting covered in shit and oil and all this. Like, I've still got crap under my fingernails from the last tinkering session I had this morning, because that's who I am. You know, I'll never be Daniel Craig in a Savile Row suit. Let's put it that way. But yes, so that's it. I mean, I've bought new blades for the scraper. I've got the new crush washers and all that lot in. Steve very kindly said he's got shitloads of O-rings if I need any. I have got some somewhere. I bought one of them little boxes selection. I have got some somewhere, but if I've not got the sizes, we'll hit up Uncle Steve and we'll get it sorted. So that's your lot. I'm nearly at work. A quick drive down the A5 to the top secret proving ground in the Midlands, which we can't mention, but you all know what it is. It gets mistaken for a local shower manufacturer as well, because they both share the same name. Oh, I work at such and such. Oh, what's the crick pump to fit under me bath? No, not that such and such, the other such and such. So I'm going to go now, chaps, because I am literally just at work. So I'll upload this tonight. It should be on the net before midnight. I've now got my computer working again, which is great. It turned out that the BIOS had shit itself. When the computer was booting up, it would not. Basically, I had a black screen with a white arrow on it. Very common problem, which was good because it means I could get on my phone and sort it. And what sorted it was taking my spanky graphics card out, putting an old one in and rebooting it, and of course it sees new hardware and the BIOS comes back, and then you can just do what you need to do in BIOS and then come back out again. So that's how I fixed it basically, and this morning I've just downloaded all the drivers and stuff for it, but because they're not in, the computer's a bit slow. So I've done that this morning. That's literally all I've done. So I'm going to go now, and I'll leave you with Henry the Mirror Spider. There we go. There's Henry the Mirror Spider having his lunch, which I'll be doing in a couple of hours. So see you later, guys.